Hello everybody and welcome back to Julie's Orchids. So today, as you can see, it looks like we're going to do a repot. But today is an extra special repot because I have my bonus daughter here, Eve. Say hello, Eve.
Hello.
And Eve is going to repot her first orchid. So why don't you guys stay tuned and have a look and see how she does. So the first thing that we have to teach Eve to do is that we need to clean our cutting utensils. So as you can see, we have our isopropyl rubbing alcohol, some cotton swabs, and our scissors. So I'm going to have Eve go ahead and clean the scissors for us. Okay. And then give them an open up and a good swipe down on both sides and the cutting edge. Wonderfully. Now we can move those out of the way. Now this morning was watering day, so we did water this orchid. You saw that on our earlier video. But we have gone ahead and drained all of the water out of the bottom of the pot here. So I'm going to have Eve do me a favor, and I want Eve to give a good squeeze to the pot to loosen up any roots that may or may not be stuck to it. Give it a good squeeze. Yep. And we have our trusty cookie sheet here to catch all of the bark media. And as you can see back here that we're going to be placing this into our large pumice. So Eve, we've got a pretty good squeeze. Now it's pretty easy. What we're going to do is just going to turn that upside down and get as much of the bark out of the container as we possibly can. Yep. And that's okay. We got as much water out as we could. There's some dripping, but we'll be able to clean that up. And that's all the more water that's coming out because this thing has been in here for a while. And as we can see, it's got some nice roots growing in here. So what we're going to do now is the tedious task of picking the little pieces of bark out until we can kind of get down through here. Now as we can see, we've got this one root growing right along the top here, so it's going to be a bit difficult for Eve. But eventually we're going to make it to this side here where we can get the scissors and cut this recycled plastic juice bottle. And it's just going to be something as simple as picking out the little pieces of bark. You see these little runners in here? Those are little white runners. Those are soil mites, which is another reason why we're repotting this. Italy. Yep, just pick them out. And if you want to try to give it a turn over now that you've loosened a bit more out. Yep, give it a good shake and don't worry about it. It goes everywhere. We'll clean up later. Now, squeezing the pot helps loosen the media and the roots from sticking to the plastic container. But we might be now to the point where we need to gently, let's find a good spot to cut that in. I think this is the best spot. Try to cut the plastic almost to that root, and then we can start pulling it apart. There we go. I'll hold that leaf up and out of the way. That looks good there. Now if we want to try to peel that back a little bit, I'll hold that there if you want to try to cut some more. Good, good, good. Just going to swing underneath here so we can see what a good job she's doing. should be okay about there. And then we can try to turn the pot over again and see if we can't get more of that bark out. That's the way to do it. Okay, so I'm gonna come over here. I'll reach around. So we can give it just a little bit more of a squeeze. And as you can see when we're squeezing, this root here is loosening up. So we're just gonna gently run our finger along and underneath the root to try to loosen it from, are we in screen? To try to loosen it up from the plastic. And we are getting very lucky because this root here growing along the edge has loosened up nicely. And now I'm gonna reach down and see if we can't pull that out. It's still stuck really good, so we don't wanna yank it just yet because we'll break the roots. So I'm gonna give it some more of a squish. And I'm gonna kind of just pull this back a little bit and give it a bit more of a squeeze. It's a lot of squeezing, pushing, and banging. And so Eve, we're gonna lay this on its side, and what I want you to do is to try to gently cut that plastic a bit further down. I'm gonna move that root a little bit out of the way. Are we still on screen? Beautiful. Try cutting towards me this time.
Okay.
That's good right there. And let's see if that's loosening this root here up any further. And I'm going to give it a little bit of a pull. And hun, can you cut that off for me?
Oh.
Yeah, just cut the whole flap off, straight up. Perfect. So now we've cleared up a little tiny bit more room. And I'm going to have Eve work at picking a little bit more of the bark out for us. I didn't pick the best bottle to put that in because it's got that skinny waist to it, which is making it a bit more difficult. You want to try to turn it upside down again and give it a squeeze. Maybe a little bit of a pat. Beauty. That's good. Now, grab hold of the orchid like so onto the low down onto the stem and try to see if it will gently pull out. If you can't gently pull it out, then we need to do a little bit more bark removal. Not coming out gently? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do some more cutting of the plastic off. And you can go at it however you want. You might just go straight down that way. That's really good. Now let's try that. It's gross and slimy, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Give it a pull by the stem. Yeah. Is it coming out? Mm-hmm. Turn it over. There you go. Keep pulling. Now we've freed it from its bottle. We can just turn the bottle up, put that out of the way on the other side. Perfect. So what we can see here for Eve is that we have some aerial roots that we've gotten a little bit dirty, but they're in quite good shape. We've got these roots here that are nice and green and firm. And towards the middle of it, you can see that these roots here have a different color, and they're not green. Now the important thing to know about that is these are on the outside of the pot, and orchid roots actually create chlorophyll, like leaves. So the ones that were exposed to light are green because they're creating chlorophyll. And these ones, even though they look brown and kind of gross, if you squeeze them, they're still firm. So that means they're healthy and fine. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
We did a little break off here. That's okay. These are quite strong little plants. Perfect. So what we notice about this plant is it's kind of an old plant, and you can see that the bark is sort of sticking to the roots. And if you can gently pull it off without too much of a tug, like that, then pull them off. But if it requires quite a bit of yanking and it doesn't come off, we'll just leave it. Because in a couple years we can repot it again because it might need it. And then at that point in time, this root might be dead and we can clean it up. But if we have one or two pieces of bark left when we put it into the inorganic media, that is still okay. So you want to try to pick gently the little pieces of bark that are left on there off, and if they don't come off, they don't come off. See how easy that was? Yeah?
Yeah.
Good. Now that stuck on a growing tip and it didn't come off gently, so it was good that you didn't take it off. Beautiful. Do you think we got as much of that bark off as we could get?
I think so.
Yeah, that sounds good. So now what we can do is we can take it over to the kitchen sink, and we'll do this off camera, and just give these a little rinse off under the sink. And when we do that, we want to make sure that the water coming out of the tap is not freezing cold nor burning hot. It needs to be skin temperature or not hot. All right. Eve has done a very good job at rinsing off the roots of her plant, and we're just going to move that off to the side. Just lay it on the table, we'll wipe the table, and we'll put our pot of RO water, and then we'll put our pot there in the RO water. Let it sink on down in there, good, beautiful. Now we're going to grab hold of the orchid. And we want to gently kind of guide the roots in. That's good. And let them squish on down in there. It's okay to have them sticking out just a little bit. Now I'm going to pull this one out because it's the aerial root that's quite rigid. We'll leave that one out because it's used to being out. Now with roots, if you want them down further in the pot, you twist. Okay, and you see how it's sunk down now further into the pot a little bit? Mm-hmm. That's about where we want it. Now it's really simple how to do this. Grab a handful of pumice and drop it in and around the orchid roots inside the pot. And it's really just that simple. So you'll do a little bit here, here, and there. And love, need to move that pumice closer to you. Go ahead. So one thing we can notice right here is that some of this pumice isn't going down, so we can just kind of give it a little bit of a push down. Or what we'll do now is give it a minute. Give it a shake so we can get the pumice all the way down to the bottom. And make sure it's equally distributed through the bottom of the pot. And what's nice about this is we'll still be able to see our roots. So we'll put that back in the pot, and then you just continue filling it up. Good job. A little bit more right there. I'll hold that leaf up and out of the way for you. Good job. Now before we put any more in, I want you to pick it up and give it a little bit of shake. Yeah, that's good there. That should distribute that pumice down good. And love, what we're going to do is we're just going to finish filling this up to right about the level of this old flower spike, and then we're done. That's okay. Good job. I'm slide these a little bit around in here, and I'm going to give that a turn so we can face you, and it might be easier to get to. So need a little bit there. That's okay. And let's see, maybe a little bit there. Perfect. So I think she's done a wonderful job of putting the pumice and getting this repotted. Now we just need to do a little bit of tidying up. So we're going to drain the water out of this pumice and move this out of the way. And now we're going to put a nice decorative layer of just plain river rock on the top to help keep in some of the moisture to keep the top layer from drying out. Looks good. I'm going to give it a turn. A little bit more right there. Perfect. There you have it. Eve's first Phalaenopsis repot. If you guys liked the video and think Eve did a good job, please give us a thumbs up. Tell them a subscribe would be nice.
A subscribe would be nice.
Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.
Bye.